from the presidential primaries, one of the most closely watched races in Illinois, the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. The winner of the race will face either incumbent Republican Senator Mark Kirk or his challenger, James Martyr. And now we have our two friends back, Sam Adams Jr., Kathleen Murphy, Communications Director for the Illinois Opportunity Project. Now, Duckworth had the backing of much of the Democratic Party's top leaders, high-profile friends in the race like Jesse Jackson, former White House Chief of Staff Bill Daley. Who's got the edge?
Well, Duckworth has the edge. Yeah, absolutely. I think she wins in the primary, and I think she wins in the general. Mark Kirk has not inspired the Republican base at all. He's voted against school choice. He's voted against. He was the only Senate Republican who voted against defunding Planned Parenthood. He's decidedly anti-Second Amendment. So he's really fallen in with these Washington Republicans that you see the Republican base sort of revolting against right now. So I think Duckworth wins decidedly in this race.
How much does Duckworth not participating in debates affect this?
Duckworth will go right to Washington. I'm telling you that right now. She's going
no difference at all.
None whatsoever. She's up, I think, 72%. She's up by almost triple digits. Yeah. This is a Duckworth victory. As much as I like Andrea Zott personally, Duckworth is going to win this and win it going away.
Let's turn to the Cook County State's Attorney's race. Anita Alvarez, the incumbent, Kim Fox, a former Assistant State's Attorney, and Don Moore, of course, an Assistant U.S. Attorney. This is all going to center around this Laquan McDonald video. How does that impact this race?
It's going to impact it greatly. You know, one of the things I noticed in coming here this morning with shooting of three police officers, which is terrible, very well may change a lot of the complexion even this morning with people coming out and saying, you know, I've heard from the state's attorneys, and that state's attorney's race seems to be around only how much are we going to prosecute police. Well, today brings back into focus the fact that there is rather a lot of crime in this city, and that people have to address that, and they need a prosecutor who's going to protect them. I can see the Laquan McDonald, if we have a big voter turnout in Chicago, if you have a lot of the urban areas voting, then I think that predicts well for Kim Fox. If we don't, if we have low voter turnout, like Bernie Sanders was saying, if we have a very low turnout here in the city, but the surrounding areas in the suburbs come out, that's going to be very good for Don Moore and very good, certainly for Anita Alvarez. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for. What is the voter turnout? Because if you get the suburban areas turning out in big, huge numbers, Anita's going to win this.
Another important question on this is, if Anita does win, after everything that's happened, after the mishandling, the slow walking of the Laquan McDonald investigation, after the protests, after the recall ROM efforts, what does that mean about how serious Chicago voters are for reform? What does that mean on the flip side of an Alvarez victory for a Republican candidate? There is one, Christopher Pancook, who's running. He's arguably one of the most qualified candidates. 31 years criminal prosecution experience. Is it time in Illinois for Republicans to get off the sidelines and really advance a reform agenda that empowers people to take control over their own lives?
Final quick question for both of you. How important is voter turnout both in the local races and in the presidential race?
Well, locally, for races such as the state's attorney race, it's huge. For the U.S. Senate, Duckworth is going to go away. There's no question about it. She's going to Washington. As far as, I think Bernie's 100% right. If we get huge turnout, especially in the city of Chicago and Cook County as opposed to the rest of the state, Bernie Sanders has a real chance if you get high numbers. If you don't, if we have a low number, which we typically have at this time of year, there's only been two other times the city of Chicago really came out, and that was for Mayor Washington and for Obama the first time. If this is not one of those times where you get big turnout, Hillary's going to go and win this race.
How do you see it?
I think on the GOP side, voter turnout's important. I think it's important for Ted Cruz because Donald Trump sort of hovers right around the 30–40%. So more voters who Cruz can mobilize to get out, especially in Illinois, where an upset again would really help his case against being that mano a mano with Donald Trump. The more voters he can mobilize and get out, the better chance he has of winning and being the challenger to Trump.
Should be a good day, all right, Kathleen and Sam? Thank you both very much. Natalie.
Thank you, George.